Hi, welcome back to Country Basket Weaving. I'm your hostess, Sandy Atkinson. Today we're going to be working on an oval basket that I've used a twill weave on it, a Japanese twill weave, and I've added a 2-inch wood strip and some Scandi straw and a swing handle. We're going to get right at it. Our material and cut pattern for today is as follows. You're going to need 1/2 inch flat, cut 8 spokes, 31 inches long. You're also going to need some additional 1/2 inch flat left natural. 1/4 inch flat dyed, your color choice, cut 8 pieces at 28 inches. Also, you're going to need some 1/4 inch flat left natural. You're also going to need some number 3 round reed. You're going to need 1 2-inch wide wood strip, some Scandi straw, 1 square notch swing handle with a 9-inch span on it, and some caning. To get started today, I already have mine cut and soaked. I've marked the centers. On 3 pieces, you're going to mark your center and then come out and mark 2 1/4 inches on either side of the center. You're going to do that on 3 pieces. Lay out your first piece, and it should be laid out vertically. And then the second and third piece are going to overlap and lay out as like this, okay? On your other pieces, you mark the center, and then you're going to mark 3 inches marks on either side of the center. So I have 3 inches here with my center mark. The first one's going to lay horizontally across. Your vertical and your horizontal one need to be straight. Then you're going to work in your other pieces, lining up the centers, keeping those 2 extra pieces at the top. So you're going to have to squeeze them in a little bit and work these other ones in. Now you're going to have to space it. Just kind of keep adjusting things until you get it spaced, until you get it all laid out here. And let me move this one here. Remember, I have to keep those 3 at the top. I can't move those. Now when I have them all laid out, you can see these lines have created an oval, and that's going to be a guideline for us. Take some of your number 3 round, and you're going to crimp it off center using your needle nose pliers. This is so that it will bend without breaking. Loop it over the very first spoke you laid out. Come down to your guidelines, your pencil mark there, and you're going to twine. This first row is the hardest row to do. You're going to try to follow your guidelines. It does not have to be exact. Stay as close to them as you can. And this is going to create an oval as we weave. And I'm just doing a simple basic twine, holding everything together with my other hand. You can very carefully, if you have a hard time weaving upside down like I'm trying to do right here, then very carefully grab this whole thing and just spin it, trying not to shift any of these. If they come undone or they get moved a little bit, just readjust them. Take your time. This first row of twining determines the whole base, so you want to make sure it's nice and neat and everything is nice and oval. And we're going to come back to where we started, and I'm going to stop, and we're going to look at that oval and make sure everything is lined up. I need to twine on a couple more. This one came off center, so I'm going to take a second and pull it back. There. Twine on the one I started on. Now I'm going to stop. Now it's not a real good oval, so let's just come in here and do some adjusting. Oh, I think it's getting worse. There. And again, it's important that these 2 spokes, that the first one I laid down is nice and straight. That's so our handle will fit in good when we get there. Okay, once you're happy with your oval and your shape, you're going to continue twining. Butt that twining right up to the row that you did. Pack everything in tight. I'm going to twine for a total of 10 rows. After my 10th row, I'm going to stop, but don't cut anything off. Okay, my oval's coming real nice now. I want to weave just a little bit farther so I can show you how to add a piece. Never hurts to go over these little tips. Okay. I'm coming down here. Actually, my end lengths turned out to be about the same length, so I'm going to come in here and just snip this one back because I don't want to run out at the same place. Okay, I've ran out there. Taking another piece of your number 3 round, you're going to gently lift up the piece that ran out and insert it down in there about an inch and keep right on going. That's all there is to it. Okay, you're going to twine for a total of 10 rows. I'm going to go to another set that I have, and I'm already at my 10 rows. Remember, don't cut off your ends. And go ahead and twine on the spoke that you started. This was my beginning spoke. Now I'm going to take my 8 other pieces, make sure I have the wrong side up, and I'm going to slide the first piece through here, and over here you'll find its exact opposite. You're going to go up through there. Pull this all the way so that it's even. It would help if you mark the centers on all your pieces, and then if you want you can double check the centers on the back because of course they're not going to show here on the front. Add all your pieces in this way. The design on this basket is on the back or on the bottom of the basket, which makes kind of a pretty bottom. A little tight there. After I get these in, then I'm going to start twining again. A couple more to add. Oops. Throughout the program, I want to talk to you today about staining and about dyes. There's a lot of beautiful stains and dyes on the market today. I personally like the oil-based stains. They take longer to dry, and they do have an odor to them, but I like them because they make the baskets breathe and they keep them soft and pliable. But for some cases, the water-based stains work out real nice too. Okay, now that I have all of my blue spokes in, or my dyed spokes, I'm going to pick up my dyed pieces and start twining them into my pattern. And I need to twine for a total of 3 more rows. As you twine, you want to make sure everything's lined up. Make sure that your dyed spokes are in the middle of between the center of your two colored, or pardon me, your two natural spokes here. Take your time. This row needs to pack in tight of our previous twining. Probably this row will be a lot easier to do once I get all these pieces locked in. Going back to the staining for a minute on different stains that you can use on your basket. Of course, coffee and tea work real well. Walnut hulls is one of my favorite stains. I use that a lot. I also have a stain that I use and I make up in a large quantity, and I'm capable of dipping a basket instead of brushing it on in that case. And in that one, my recipe for that was shared with me by another basket weaver. She was from out of state, I believe South Carolina, and her recipe for that was coffee grounds, and tobacco. Let that set and create a stain. And you mix that with ammonia and then let it set, and then add a little bit of Lysol to that. But that really does make up a pretty one if you can stand the smell of it. Okay, you're going to continue twining for a total of 3 rows around. And when you come back, or when you get to where you're ending this piece, I'm going to show you that quickly. Even though I only have 2 rows, I really want you to do 3. Let me show you how you're going to end that. You're going to use your needle nose pliers and come in here with the first piece, put a crimp on it, and a bend. And then using a knitting needle I like works real well. Open this up and slide that down there. Of course, you're going to have 2 rows on here because you're going to be a little farther along than I am. And again, I'm going to put a crimp on it, open this area up, slide that end down in there, and end it that way. Make sure it packs in tight. Then you're going to upset your base. Remember, I didn't take the time to do the full 3 rows, and you're going to do that. Then you're going to come around and upset all your pieces. Don't worry about them breaking. I have my piece nice and wet. If yours dries out, go dip it in some water and upset them all. They won't break. You may hear a little crack, but it certainly won't hurt it at all. Okay, taking out some of your 1/4 inch flat, we're going to put a taper on the end, and I do this for about 2 inches. Come in here and just taper this off. I'm getting larger and back to the original size for about a 2-inch length. Make sure you have your right side, that's your smooth side. Tip your basket on its side, push these down. You're going to start under. To do this Japanese weave, we need to start under or behind a spoke. Then we're going to go over 2 and behind 1. Over 2, behind 1. Now I do use some clothespins to help keep this tension on there. But that's your pattern is over 2, under 1. And again, I might need another clothespin. That first row wants to slide and look kind of sloppy. In fact, it will look kind of sloppy until I get a couple of rows going here. When I come back to where I started, I'm going to be over the piece I started on and over the next one and then behind, because that's my over 2, under 1 pattern. And you will see in just a couple of rows, you'll begin to see that twill develop. It's not something you're going to see right off. Keep everything packed in tight. You want it to look very neat. Start taking shape here. I try to keep my spokes straight up and down as I weave also. Over 2, under 1. Over 2, under 1. I want you to do a total of 5 rows when we work on this. And then you're going to end it the very same way we started it, with a taper. I'll try to get you to this part. Okay, I'm running out, so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to snip this off here. Get another piece. Make sure my right side's up. Come back here and hide this end, and then keep right on going. And if I look back now, I can see my twill developing, this Japanese twill. I'm on my 4th row. I'm going to speed up a little bit because I want to show you how to end it. Talking about stains a little bit, or dyes, There are so many good basket dyes on the market to get the colors like the beautiful blue I have here. If you want, any type of fiber dye will work. There's also just some natural things you have around your house like beet juice, grape juice. Just think of things that would stain your clothes. They will probably work on your reed here. Another thing, I have to come back and count just a second here. Okay, I'm on my 5th row here. This is where I began. I'm going to come and I'm going to hide this one. I can hide it right on top of there. So I'm going to cut this length here, pull it out, and I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to make that taper. The reason for these 2 tapers is so that everything will fit in and I will have a smooth top again. Okay, I really should have cut this a little longer, so I'm going to take it behind there. I want it inside so that end won't stick out and show. Now I'm going to take out 3 different lengths of my number 3 round, and I'm going to triple twine. Remember, we do that with 3 different lengths. Starting in the back here, I'm going to put the reed, the round reed, one in each 3 consecutive spots, take my farthest one on my left, and go around the next spoke, which will be over 2 and then behind. This one I'm over 2 and behind my 3rd. I'm going to, this is called triple twine. And as I do this, I'm pulling on the spokes and I'm straightening the spokes, keeping everything packed in tight, keeping everything straight up and down. And I'm going to twine for a total of 2 rows. So twine your 2 rows on there. I've already done it on my 3rd sample here. I have my 2 rows twined on here. Now I'm going to add this piece, and I want to talk to you for a minute about these beautiful pieces. This is an ash, a 2-inch ash strip. They don't have to be wet. In fact, it's better not to wet them because they are a wood grain. They're actually wood, and if you wet them, you're going to raise the grain. So try to avoid wetting them if you can. I'm going to start this one. I want my blue strips to show because I want the blue color. So I'm going to start on top of a natural piece. Weave under my blue strips. And this piece goes in real easy. Remember, you're working with it dry or just damp. So it's going to be a little bit stiff to work with. These pieces are beautiful to paint on or stencil or use some of the new paint decals they have on the market today. When I get back to where I started, I am going to overlap, and I still follow the general rule of overlap 4, and I'm going to hide under that 4th spoke. I'm going to cut this off, save this piece because it's so pretty. I'll save it for a smaller basket. And weave that end in like that. Then I'm going to get 3 more strands, pack it in tight, kind of push it down gently. Then I'm going to get 3 more strands, and I'm going to twine 2 more triple twine on top of this one. Okay? I'm going to talk you through this one here where I've already done it. Now my piece here got a little bit wet. Like I say, it's better not to soak it. In here I've used some red. And this piece is cherry. The first one I used was ash. This one's cherry. Let me take a minute and show you how these come. They come in long strips. This is a beautiful walnut piece. And walnut I used in my finished sample basket here. And we have some cherry and maple. This one's maple. Beautiful colors, beautiful woods to work with. Okay. We're going to come in here. And I'm going to cut off all my colored pieces, even with the top row of my very top row here. First, I better tell you what I did. I've got my 2 rows of triple twine. Then I put in 5 more rows of the Japanese weave, beginning and ending, just like we talked about. 2 more rows of triple twine. And then I have just a piece of 1/2-inch flat that's going to go under my rim. Then I've tucked and cut all my pieces. My natural pieces, it'll work out that they will get cut off, And then, of course, these are going to be put on a point, and these are going to tuck down into the basket. This holds everything together on the top, and I'm coming in here and lifting up my twining and sliding the end of it down. Just like that. Now, if you notice, the basket just doesn't set straight, and that's because of the pattern we did on the bottom. Coming around to the back of the basket, to the bottom, and I'm just going to give it a shove, push it down, so everything is inverted here. Try to straighten it so it's nice and even, and then my basket sits fine. We next need to add our rim and our handle. I've chosen Scandi straw for the outside, and the reason I did this is just simply because it's so decorative and so beautiful. I can add it up like this, like I did on the sample basket, or I could even weave it in like this, so the points are going down, the scallops are down. Let's do this one a little different because I did the sample up. Let's do this one down. I'm going to work this piece around and just clamp it on. Come in here, I'm going to overlap a little bit, about an inch, inch and a half, and then snip off the end. Okay, I did use 5/8 inch flat for my inside rim because I did want some sturdiness there. Whittle this down for 2.5, 3 inches. Remember, it's going to overlap itself, and we don't want that bulk there. And let's see, I'm going to put a handle in this one, so let's put this on our long side. Remember, the flat side faces the basket, working it around. Use some clothespins to hold it up there. When I get back to where I started, I'm going to overlap it the full length of that whittle and then cut it off. Now I need to insert my handle. This is a beautiful handle. It has the buttons on it, and these are removable, so if I wanted to switch my notch to face the outside, I could very easily do that with this handle. I'm going to put it in the center of my basket along my right along that spoke in the center of my basket. Work it down, gently lift up my twining or my rows of weaving in there until it just snaps in there. You can hear it snap as it fits underneath that rim. Do the very same thing on the other side. Again, go inside the basket and pick up that twining and that weaving and fit it on like that. Okay, I lashed this one with caning, and I don't see my caning. Oh, it's way in the bottom of my bucket. Okay. I have used a smaller size caning because I didn't want to distract from the beauty of the Scandi straw up here. Remember, we're going to take our caning. It's easy to determine the right side. Right side faces the basket. I put a point on it so it travels easier. Coming up from the inside rim, from the bottom up, about 4 or 5 inches, and then circle down around between the basket and the outside rim. Then I'm going to go underneath my 1/2 inch piece I put on here in between my twining. Pull it forward. Repeat that step again. Now as I bring up this one from the inside here, my caning is going to be on the outside now. Straighten this out, and you're going to start your lashing. When you come to your handles, I double lashed my handles. That means I crossed and made an X on here to hold it in. Mainly it's to hold it in, but it's also very pretty. Because I only single lashed on this, I have to do that as I go around the first time. I didn't want to double lash this one again because of the beauty of the Scandi straw. I wanted to just keep it all really neat. You're going to insert the end here, and I always start the next one and come back and pull this one tight. I didn't use a filler on this. I just didn't feel it needed a filler with this Scandi straw, and again, I didn't want to distract from it. Then I'm going to come and pull this all tight. And remember that you're going to cross on that handle piece, and then you can finish it. You end the lashing the very same way you started it. Next week, we're going to be working on mold, and we're going to be working with a Nantucket basket. This is a Nantucket mold. This is a small 6-inch mold. This is one of the baskets that I'd like to show. And of course, this is another Nantucket basket, quite a contrast. This one's made out of cane, this one's out of reed, but we'll be talking about that next week, and I'll look forward to seeing you then.